let me explain about your consciousness journal assignment. You'll do 4 consciousness journals over the course of the semester. Each one requires you to pick one of the questions from the material that we've covered for that journal assignment. So you'll see the questions on Canvas, there's a list of them, and they're related to the particular issue that we've discussed for that week or that class period. So you'll pick one question, and ask yourself several times over the course of a particular week, ask yourself that question. So for example, the first question is, am I conscious now? The second question is, am I conscious now? And you'll ask yourself, am I conscious? You know, you wake up, am I conscious? You're watching TV, am I conscious? You're in class, you're watching a Zoom video, you're doing homework. Ask yourself, you know, am I conscious now? And you'll ask yourself several times, many times over the course of a week. 3 times you'll sit down and write about your experience of asking yourself that question, the results of asking yourself that question. So reflect on the different times that you've asked yourself the question and try to find different situations or different aspects of your conscious experience to identify in your journal exercise. So you'll ask yourself the question more than 3 times. Don't ask yourself the question just while you're writing your journal exercise, because then you'll get a very particular kind of experience. You'll just get one kind of experience and you won't get a sense of the wide variety of experiences that are or could be conscious. So ask yourself several different times and sit down and record 3 different times what the results of those different question askings are. And you should date your entries so that I can tell that you've sat down and reflected on your conscious experience at least 3 different times. And you should look for different kinds of examples of your experience to discuss, and don't discuss just the same thing every time. You can find these instructions, look on Canvas under Consciousness Journal Number 1 questions. The general instructions are there. The subsequent journal questions will just list the questions without these instructions again. So start there by looking at the instructions that'll repeat what I've just told you just now. And you can look at the different suggestions for how you might remind yourself about the practice. So some of the things that are suggested, you might write the question on Post-it notes and place it around the house. One of the most effective is to have a random reminder on your phone, something that beeps at you at random intervals. Now you want to make sure that that doesn't beep at you at inconvenient times, that you silence your phone so it doesn't beep when we're in class or just vibrates, so that you don't create any problem with the beep going off. But a random beep is a useful way to catch yourself at different kinds of moments so that your conscious experience is more varied. If you only ask yourself when you're looking at a Post-it in front of the mirror in the morning or looking at a Post-it at particular locations, you'll get just those kinds of experiences. So a phone reminder is a good way to do it. There's a rubric for what I'm going to be looking for in these consciousness journals. That's under the place where you submit your consciousness journal. In the instructions, it says that you can either submit online, where the rubric is listed, or you can submit a hard copy. That only applies after we're in person again. Once we're in person again, then you can submit a hard copy. But for the first journal, you'll need to submit it online because we won't see one another. The rubric identifies the criteria for your journal assignment, meet the requirement of 3 entries from 3 different dates. So you're asking yourself just one of the questions. Don't ask yourself 3 different questions. What you want to do is compare your conscious experience over the course of time. So ask yourself one question and then record the results 3 different times and date those. That's to get the 6 minimal requirements. And then If you have more than a few sentences, you are being more descriptive of your experience, then you get an additional point. Considers different situations, is reflective, observant of similarities and differences. So you're looking at different kinds of experiences, you're reflective about those different kinds of experiences. And then the final one is the most difficult, that your answer is thought-provoking, that you're really examining your experience, you're thinking about it, you're trying to figure it out. Maybe you're connecting it with the course material, or you're raising some insight about consciousness that has not been covered in the course material, but through reflection you come up with some kind of insight on your own. And that does happen. That just because you're not a professional philosopher or a neuroscientist doesn't mean that by observing your conscious experience you won't come up with something new. That's the whole point. Our conscious experience is our data for this class. That's the phenomena. Is there something there to see? What is it like to be conscious? Is it an illusion? These are some of the things that we'll be talking about as we go forward. So you need to look at your conscious experience to try to determine whether these different explanations are appropriate to your conscious experience. Do they explain your conscious experience or not? And which one does the best job at dealing with what you experience when you are conscious? And to be able to know what the answer to that is means that you need to look at your conscious experience and see what's there and whether these theories account for it or not.